Come as we explore the vibrant town of Puerto Madryn and enjoy a fascinating excursion walking through the world of Magellanic penguins and curious Guanacos at the Punta Tombo Rookery.
Just coming into Puerto Madryn. Stevie sunning himself. A bit too close. See Stevie in the background? A bit windy. We're back in the heat. Puerto Madryn behind us.
So this morning we've been invited to a sailing party on the helipad. You may have noticed that we are indeed moored, so maybe a sailing party is not what it says on the tin. Getting to the helipad involved a low bulkhead door and then into this area, which is the crew's relaxation space. Once there we were met by a glass of bubbly. As we described in our last vlog, today we should have been in the Falkland Islands. Unfortunately, inclement weather has caused the captain to divert us, giving us an extra day in Puerto Madryn. On the Solstice class ships that we've been on, I think each sailing has had a sailing party for guests that are in the retreat. So this sailing party is really an excuse for a drink, but it's also an opportunity to meet some of the officers. On this cruise, the officers have been quite visible, indeed more visible than the butler. But let's move on quickly. We've had sessions with the officers in Michael's club. They've come to the restaurant on a couple of occasions to introduce themselves, and we have this morning's sailing party as well. So we quite enjoy these sailing parties, but not for the reasons that most people probably think. Given that we're normally down the back of the ship, we don't really get to see much about what happens at the front. It is nice to get a change. Looking over the side, we get to see what's going on, what the dock hands are doing to moor the ship, and a completely different perspective. All in all, we spent about 5 days cruising prior to arriving here. With no opportunity to get off the ship, this is a welcome mooring, giving us the opportunity to wander about on terra firma. Due to our diversion from the Falkland Islands, an extra day that we are now staying in Puerto Madryn, we don't have any excursions booked. The plan is a leisurely stroll to see what the town has to offer, and Joanne has elected to stay on board. She rather likes it when everybody is off the ship. And today we're in Puerto Madryn and getting off of the boat for the first time in a little while and just having a look around the town. No specific excursions arranged. We weren't expecting to actually come to this port. The only reason that we came was because of the Falkland Islands being cancelled due to inclemental weather. Anyway, let's have a look and see what Puerto Madryn gives us. It was a long pier with a narrow walkway in places. I found myself having to walk in the road past people. It was a superb opportunity as well to see some of the local fauna. As I looked over the sea, I could see sea lions basking in the sun and also quite a range of fish and birds. At the end of the pier there is a security gate which opens onto a roundabout with this whale tail sculpture. There were a number of monuments in this vicinity that included this workers' monument and also a collection of white busts which really stood out against the background, and they remembered Argentina's naval greats. This town is very centred on the beach and has a few restaurants as well as some shops and stalls nearby. There was one area that was set aside with stalls for artisans to display their various wares. Made a very nice walk around. I didn't buy anything, but some quite nice items on sale. And I almost got dragged off on an unspecified excursion. As I was watching this lot go off, I got a call to hurry up and join them. Puerto Madryn seemed to be largely focused on a couple of blocks. As I moved away from the beach, I didn't find much else of interest. My overall impression was of a city that was very much geared up for the beach tourist, taking advantage of the expansive beach that lay in front of it. Getting back on the boat was super easy. I just had to show some ID to get past the security gate and then wandered up the long pier, peering over the side to see what I could find. And in a different vicinity to last time, I found the sea lions again. And by now it was lunchtime, so I made my way back onto the Celebrity Eclipse to meet Joanne as prearranged in the buffet. Welcome to a new day in Puerto Madryn. Today we've booked a celebrity excursion to Tombo Penguin Rookery. This is one excursion we've both been looking forward to. We hope to get up close to the penguins in their natural habitat. So to get to the Punta Tombo Rookery, we have to go south. Boy, was it a long coach ride. On that journey, our guide gave us a history lesson on the area. Puerto Madryn was founded in 1865 by 160 Welsh immigrants who landed in a storm in the natural harbour and settled. They were leaving the UK as the Industrial Revolution had placed the Welsh under significant pressure to mine the coal needed to sustain industry. Apparently they got on well with the locals and in difficult conditions set about building the irrigation trenches so that they could farm the land. The name Puerto Madryn is a reference to the state of Sir Love Jones Parry, Madryn. He was a Welsh politician who had come to Patagonia with Lewis Jones to determine and negotiate if the Welsh could emigrate there. He funded the trip out of his own money. These days, the city is twinned with Neffyn, North Wales. Our guide explained that the Patagonia that we see today is very different to the one that existed millions of years ago. Before the plates shifted, creating the Andes, the climate had supported a rich green vegetation, as can be seen on the Chilean side of the Andes these days. This vegetation in turn sustained numerous dinosaurs, including one of the largest, Patagonian majorum. The formation of the Andes, the climate changed. it was no longer able to sustain the rich vegetation and hence the dinosaurs. There is a life-size model of one of those dinosaurs that we're just about to pass on the outskirts of Trulu. The town Trulu was named after Lewis Jones, who we spoke about earlier. And near the area we're in now, it is well known as a location for flamingos. In this area of Argentina, there is a large number of estancias or ranches, originally royal favours or concessions that were made. These are absolutely massive farms that put any farm in the UK to absolute shame. They farm livestock for both milk and food, and also agriculture. And it's on the estancias where the gaucho or Argentinian cowboy was born, as these wealthy landowners hired the cowboys to tend to the cattle. Estancias are handed down through the families, and the original ones were set up in something like the 16th century, and they can measure like 2,500 hectares. In the 20th century, there's been a sale of plots and a move to significantly reduce the size, and ownership expanded for the estancias in Argentina. This is a long journey. We've already had one comfort stop, which was at a little garage stroke restaurant, and that was welcome, but already I'm feeling a little bit numb in my nether regions, and we're really looking forward to stopping, getting out, stretching the limbs, and a bit of a comfort break. And now we're swinging off to the left and heading towards the coast and the Punta Tombo Rookery. As we got nearer to this location, you'll have noticed that the shrublands to the sides has changed. It's become a little bit greener than it had previously. We're now on a gravel track that leads us directly to the Rookery. We're here finally, and we've stopped to have a comfort break before actually moving on to the Rookery, which is just down the road. In this area there's a visitors centre where wildlife guards give talks and explanations of what is going on in the penguin colony. Was then a short drive down to the colony, and we were dropped off by the coach, which would return later. The Punta Tombo Reserve is a natural area. It's one where the Magellanic penguins have chosen to make their nest and have their chicks. They are here usually between September and April, and return to the same place each year. During other times of the year they remain out at sea. In all, this penguin colony can accommodate somewhere around about 400,000 penguins. There's a very clear walkway, either via gravel or wooden decking, But it wasn't the penguins that initially caught our eye, it was these incredible creatures. These are Guanaco, a wild animal closely resembling the llama and the alpaca, but they are domesticated. And these animals are in the wild, and they were incredibly interested in humans. They came within probably 2 meters of us and spent some time actually looking at us and trying to make out. And then you see a couple of them run off ahead, and then they would explore a bit further, come back, and then the rest of the herd would go with them. We found them quite fascinating and spent quite a while just observing their antics and seeing what they got up to. All along the walkway were nests containing 1 or 2 penguins. Very sporadic, you didn't see a lot as you walked along, but it was interesting to catch sight of them and to actually observe what they got up to. Also along the route are a number of guides who are obviously keeping an eye on what we're doing, but they were available to answer questions if you had any. In total, this path is about 3,500 meters and would probably take a good few hours to fully appreciate. We weren't at the Rookery for that long. It'd taken us a long time to get here, and it would take us a long time to get back. Along the path were a number of notices that detailed some of the other animals that you were likely to be able to find as you continued along your journey. The penguins seemed to show absolutely no alarm being around humans. They went about their business completely oblivious to us. The Magellanic penguins are medium-sized penguins and grow to between 2 and 2'6" tall. The males are the larger of the two, and chicks are usually determined by having a bluey grey colour on their front. When you saw the penguins as individuals, they didn't seem to make too much noise, but once they were all together in one space, it was loud. Anyway, we walked over the top of some of the nests on these little bridges, and it was quite interesting looking down on the penguins. Again, absolutely no concern for humans at all. I guess they were probably under the bridge in order to get some shade, as the sun was actually quite hot that day. At this stage, apart from under the walkways, there weren't large groups of penguins, small, no more than probably 10, but more often you'd see single or couples rather than a big group of penguins. That all changed as we got towards the coast, and you could see on the beach quite a large colony that were going into the water and coming back out. We followed the path along. Most of the time it was decking at this stage, and then there were some observation platforms from which you could observe the penguins. Those were absolutely fascinating because you saw different sides of the penguins than you'd actually seen as you walked along the path where the nests were. So we're now at the end of the path, and from the first set of observation platforms that overlook the beach, there was the opportunity to go slightly further down and to look at another observation platform that overlooks some rocks and a smaller beach which had another set or group of penguins. So in the window that we were given to explore the penguin colony, we had just about enough time to get to the furthermost observation point, but not to spend much time there. The celebrity guide hadn't come this far down, they'd stopped probably about halfway along the route. So you had no reference point as to when you needed to turn round and to make it back to the coach. We could have stayed here for much longer. It was absolutely fascinating, but the platforms are quite small and there are quite a few people gathering, particularly on the platforms that overlook the beach and the rock area. So I decided that now was the time to turn round and head back towards the coach. Absolutely fantastic. So the penguins in their natural habitat. Really nice. Also very nice to see the alpacas as well.
I loved this place. In fact, we all loved it. There's nothing better than seeing animals in their natural habitat. There were these beautiful animals that were, I think, a part of the llama or alpaca family. And they were so inquisitive. They came about right up to us, really. And then one would get a bit spooked and he'd run off, and then they'd all chase each other. It was just brilliant to watch. And the penguins didn't take any notice of them either. And there was, little baby penguins. They were so cute. They come every year back to the same place. You can walk right down to the beach. There's this wooden track that goes right down to the beach. And you can see them going in and out of the water. Just absolutely wonderful to watch. It was very hot there and very dusty, but well worth a visit. Definitely would go back there, and if you ever get the chance, go, because it was just wonderful. This whole holiday has been absolutely wonderful.
We got back in time for dinner at Luminae's and we had a lovely meal. Joanne had her favourites, which was salmon, and she had a salad to start with. And I went for the salmon tartare, which was really nice, together with a veal fillet.
Okay, thank you.
Is it nice? You sure?
That's seriously good.